Melbourne continues to be seasonally fickle Melbourne. That's how we know it. That's what we expected, and that's what's happened. It started with rain early in the morning, pretty heavy rain. They got play started on time, and just towards the end of that Australian innings, a little bit more rain where it's left it at the end of 19 overs, with Australia having made 132, which would pretty be flattering with the way their top order went. Some excellent batting at the end, good hitting from Nathan Coulter-Nile, and Craig McDermott's proud son, or he'd be the proud dad in that sense. McDermott picking up 32 of 30, very sensible batting from him, and a couple of good blows from Andrew Tye at the end as well, making them 132 for 7 of 19. India could have hoped that they would be 90, 95, even 100. Had the top order stayed, it could have been 140 or 150. Let's see what our guests think of the innings, and of course, the rain intervention at that time, because for about 5 balls, they were playing in pretty heavy rain.
They were, and of course there will be some amount of unhappiness in the Indian camp, because they would feel that they're hard done by once the rain is coming down at the pace it was. You got to take the players off, cover the pitch ASAP, and make sure that no surface moisture actually is gets collected because of the rain. But then I've got a slightly different side of that story, that it's a day-night encounter. You really don't know how heavy the crowds are. Yes, clouds are, and you're very close to the finish line. So at times you carry on for as long as possible so that you get full 20 overs in. Then you've got a stipulated break. And you have got some more time to play around with before you start losing overs. So if you're closer to a close of play, then umpires tend to be a bit more lenient with regards to the amount of rain that's falling, and I think that was the case. But then we were hearing that some people may not be very happy about it.
This is where, Joy, it's a little different from football and volleyball, shall we say?
Yeah, any other sport. I mean, cricket is the one sport where they say, it's raining now, go back. And the funniest thing I find is that you will never start unless it stops raining. So whatever it is, even if it's the slightest drizzle, if the drizzle is on, you can't start. And my point is that I tend to agree with him that, you're going close enough. But the rain actually started in the 16th over. It's not the 19th over that we are disputing that the rain started and there are 5 balls too many. It started 17th, 18th, just about you got reasonable amount of rain. It's only then that the rain intensified. Now the question is that Khalil Ahmed in the 17th went for about 20 runs. Okay, was his sort of grip at that point in time impacted by it? We don't know. And what Akash would say, and which is also a very fair point, is that even if his grip was impacted because of that, he needs to learn to play in those conditions.
See, Bumrah was also bowling from the other end with the same kind of wet ball, and still the Yorkers were landing where he wanted them to land. And that's the other thing, as a cricketer, I would feel, as a batsman, once again, I'll feel slightly cheated, slighted, that if it's raining, come on, what are we doing here? But when you cross the line and you become broadcaster, you start looking at this game from a slightly different vantage point, you feel that it's an outdoor sport, Gautam. Enjoy. It is an outdoor sport. You are open to the elements. There will be some amount of rain once in a while. There will be some wet patches on the field once in a while. So you can't be too cagey about going on an outfield which is slightly damp. If it's a slight drizzle, you don't want to play. I understand those rules are there. They've been there forever. But when you want to bring people in, when you start thinking from a viewer's perspective, and that happens only when you've stopped playing, then you realize that it's okay. You have to be slightly more accommodating to the forces of the nature. It's okay. It happens. Just carry on with something that can be done.
Commentary for the most part is an indoor sport. Nice.
There's this great man called Nassim Taleb who talks about skin in the game. So when do you have skin in the game? When in indoors, it's easier to have skin in the game. Of course, the one good news is that the Melbourne pitch, the surface, drains faster than a pitcher of beer in a Gurgaon pub. So, the moment the rain is over, they'll be back on very fast.
I'm thinking now.
Talking about Gurugram.
3 people based in, or used to be based in NCR, one's moved to Mumbai. So 2 Gurugrammers here.
Gurugrammers.
Getting us all thirsty for
more information about the game, of course.
For more, 2 Gurugrammers. I'm only an Instagrammer now.
And the little bit more information that we are starting to hear is, with the rain having lessened or almost stopped, they will definitely, with that stipulated hour that we've got, Australia will come out and bat those remaining 6 deliveries. So we'll keep everyone informed, but it's not as heavy to have a Duckworth-Lewis turn adjustment and then India coming to bat later on.
Again, these are the vagaries that make you think that how important are the rules. Okay, there are lines in the sand and that's how they are to be. But just think about it, those 6 balls. there might just be a rain interruption later as well. And then we'll get very strict about, this is the only time that you have. And if you don't, if the moment you go a minute over, you will reduce an over. But now that you have a realistic chance of not doing anything in that over, even if India were to bowl that over, Australia were to come out and bat, and then there will be a innings change in between, be a bit more prudent.
I'll tell you.
See, here what it is, and I'm talking now from the administration side. Having seen administrators not so much in cricket but in other places, it's a CYA rule.
Okay.
Cover your backside rule. Okay, you have a rule like that so that you say that tomorrow, see, moment you're prudent, you're taking decisions, you're taking a judgment call.
Correct.
They never want to take judgment calls, they want to blame it in the rules. That's why it works.
The problem here, you've got 2 umpires, you've got a 3rd umpire, you've got a 4th umpire as well, you've got a match referee, you've got 2 captains, and this game is broadcast on live television across the globe. So if you were to actually, you take a poor judgment call, you are definitely not cheating, because you will not be allowed to cheat. Nobody can actually get away by cheating or bending the rules, so to speak. But I remember that one game in South Africa, and I'm pretty sure you will remember, and you will remember too. It was a test match. You can only extend for 30 minutes for the last wicket to fall or the runs to be scored. And in the end, there were 2 runs left. But the stipulated 30 minutes were over, boss. So sorry, go back home, have your lunch, come back, and then score the 2 runs that you have to score to win the test match, because such are the rules. We are not allowed to bend the rules and take judgment calls. Sometimes, common sense.
Or we've even had situations of 15 or 20 runs to be scored the next day.
Why? Come play, get over and done with. Trust me, it will help. I've actually
Wait a minute, you've been working for broadcasters for a very long time. They would murder you if you said stuff like that. Lunch break, this thing, post-game lunch show.
They would be very happy, because they had to do 2 shows. First a proper lunch show of 30 minutes, and then a proper post-match show. Gautam would know.
No, they've been very, the advertisers will be very happy. The advertisers will be delighted.
But interesting, you talk about the vagaries. We were privileged to be at VVS's book launch, and one of the stories that came out from there, again talking about the vagaries of the game, Cape Town Test match. And I remember again being on the field there, wondering what's going on, because India's number 4 hadn't come out to bat, and that doesn't happen, and we're immediately thinking about the timed out rule. And now when you hear about what happened actually in the dressing room, Sachin Tendulkar was told by the 4th umpire, you're okay to bat at number 4. Then the 4th umpire realized his mistake, went and told him just when the first wicket fell that no, you can't bat till a certain time. And suddenly VVS Lakshman, who was in the shower, was indisposed. Saurav Ganguly, batting at 6, was indisposed mentally because he didn't feel like coming out. So who comes out to bat? Finally they managed to persuade Dada to, well, he didn't put his own pads on, they helped put his pads on, and out he walked out to bat. But we didn't know what was happening outside.
I don't understand you people. You want Dada to wear his own pads as well.
That is also
what is ridiculous? You guys, I don't, what is this world coming to? Tomorrow you will tell me that the monarchy doesn't exist. And what? I don't understand this.
And that's coming from him. None of us said it.
I didn't say
we
it.
didn't say it.
Wait a minute, you live in Calcutta as well. You should know.
I passed through Calcutta, far away from Behala. I'll take my chances next time I'm there. But let's actually talk about another game we didn't quite talk about. We were hoping we'd have a more favourable result coming in from the beautiful part of the Caribbean. But while a great performance from the Indian girls up to the semi-finals, it has to be second best against an England side who have always been there in that stage.
Oh, well, they've been one of the better sides. England, you talk about Australia, New Zealand, India in this format have been struggling off late. Not off late, actually throughout. They haven't had a great amount of success in the shortest format. They were brilliant in the last 50 over World Cup, lost the finals to England once again. But this time around, there's a lot of chatter about somebody not playing, and that's Mithali Raj, who was not picked. But I think you got to hear the other side of the story as well, what exactly transpired, why she was not picked, because she did not play the earlier game as well, what's there in the team management's think tank, what's going behind there, because I think they've taken a call based on what they thought was right for the team. And for once, I think that Indian cricket has actually gone beyond reputations, and they have really just discarded the emotions. They've discarded the reputations. They've gone with what they felt was right on the day. Didn't turn out to be right. Decisions are not good or bad. Eventually, the result tells you whether they were. But I'm actually with Harmanpreet Kaur and Romesh Pawar. I think what they did, if it had turned out right, was something exemplary.
But even Mithali, on the field of play, you know this is the next generation. She's almost set to pass the baton to these young girls. And they showed against Australia that they have it in them to beat the best in the world on the biggest stage. Fearless.
Absolutely. No, this team is fearless. This is a very young team. It's a developing team. This team will only get better in the future. They have a lot of power. They have a lot of new players coming through. I'd like to see a couple of more fast bowlers, but their spin attack is absolutely spectacular. They have all of it, and this is the core of a very good side for the next 7-8 years. This is the passing of the baton literally in women's cricket in India, and I completely agree with him in the sense that there are two sides to every decision, and as long as the decision is made on the basis of the side and the position and the conditions rather than because of individuals, I think it's a good decision, whether it's the right or the wrong decision. Because you can't get every decision right, you can get the process right. True. And they got the process right. And there's a lot, you see, putting her, if you open her, the other thing that he said, and that's a very justified point, that if you knew what the pitch was about, if it was everyone knew it was 100, 120, 130 pitch, maybe they would have played her saying that she's the right kind of person with the patience to go through. If they thought it was a 160, 170 pitch, they wouldn't have picked her.
And that's exactly what they thought, I'm pretty sure. They just got that judgment of that pitch right, but then reading a pitch, making a pitch is not perfect science.
Yeah, and it was one of those. Anya Shabsol was not the main weapon from England's point of view. And it was Heather Knight, in fact, who picked up 3 wickets for 9 runs off her 2 overs. Nothing for Anya Shabsol, who looked invincible against the West Indies in that last league game. And then it was, despite losing 2 early wickets, England women taking it home with their wicketkeeper and Nat Siver picking up half centuries each and just making it look a lot easier than even 17.1 suggests.
And India actually got off to a good start. They just capitulated. They lost how many?
28 and 25 odd.
Correct. So when you lose so many wickets, you can't really be thinking about who's playing and who's not playing, or rather who's not playing, because it's more about people who are playing and applying themselves. So that is one thing. The application bit, they could have done a lot better, and that's exactly what postmortems are all about. You start pointing fingers and picking mistakes, but that's something that they could have done differently. Within the same setup, they could have batted differently. You don't really have the time to recover from a collapse in a T20 game. So that's something, as Joy mentioned, young team, they'll learn, they'll get better from this.
Yes, the runouts also didn't help, as we can see from those visuals.
See, I have one more point to say. I'm just so delighted that we're sitting out here and discussing women's cricket, and everybody knows a lot about it. There's outrage on Twitter about women's cricket. This wouldn't have happened 3-4 years back. So I think we've come to a stage where the game at least has advanced that much further. It's come into our consciousness. We're talking about it. And these results, these are emotional results, but these make us feel so much. There's at least people know what's happening. For you to get angry in the game means you have skin in the game. And that's important for me to see all those reactions on Twitter, whether I agreed with them or didn't agree with them, was the fact that people cared about Indian women's cricket. And that's the best story at all.
Hashtag WIPL. Let's have it.
Yes, why
Let's
not?
have it.
We know at least 2 of our leading girls are already in the Big Bash down in Australia.
Correct.
Rubbing shoulders with the best.
And in England. So if they're sought after in the world market as well, why not have it at home? May not be an 8-team affair, have a 4-team affair, have a 6-team affair, do whatever it takes. Women IPL, the time is here.
Yes, back to the men briefly. We'll keep this discussion going for a couple of more minutes, but just to remind you, those 6 balls that we talked about, yes, Australia will go out and face them. It's Bhuvaneshwar Kumar who had the final over to bowl for India, and that I think is a good thing. We'll talk more about the way the bowlers were divided, the way the 5 bowlers were used by Virat Kohli here vis-a-vis in Brisbane, and it's the results have shown. But just coming back to this Women's World T20 briefly, India would consider themselves slightly unlucky. They've beaten Australia, did all the hard work, looked invincible, topped the group, and then that one lopsided result meant that they didn't get to face the West Indies in the semi-finals. You can't really predict anything, but West Indies would have been easier meet for India with the way India were playing.
Easier. At least, even whatever the conditions, home conditions, put it aside, England is a tougher team.
Generally, you don't end up winning the trophy without dropping a game. Generally. So you end up dropping a game somewhere. If you have won all 4 in your league phase, you got to be slightly wary, slightly scared that, and a little skeptical that things may just go wrong. Every team is allowed 1 bad game in a tournament as big as a World T20 or a World Cup. If it's a 50-over tournament, you do falter once in a while. You do slip. Unfortunately, India slipped once, but that was the knockout game.
Did I mention a few minutes ago that Melbourne has 4 seasons in a day?
It started raining.
Scrap that. They have 7 seasons in a day. It's just started raining again. So what we'll do is, let's talk about the 19 overs that have happened. Let's look straight at the bowling figures we talked about briefly. And I think one factor we'd like to look at, among other things, a note that I made, is not till the 14th over did any of India's bowlers bowl out. That was Kuldeep Yadav bowled the 14th over. Until then, he had all the options. He could go to anyone. If suddenly someone were to go for a few, he knew he had Bhuvaneshwar Kumar to stand by, he had Khalil to go back to, and that's what he didn't have in Brisbane.
And suddenly you realize that, having 5 proper bowlers and not having a sixth option is not that bad a thing. It's just how you rotate your bowlers, how you just manage your workload eventually that comes to the fore. They started with Khalil. We've been discussing about it. They made sure that Bhuvi bowled only 2 overs in the power play overs. Bumrah actually bowled only 1. So once you got 3 overs from Bumrah, that means you have 3 spells of Bumrah available to you, if you may want to use it like that. And Maxwell was in the center. They had Bumrah bowling at him. Then they brought back Khalil. Then they've got Kuldeep Yadav. You can rotate bowlers around. I thought Virat Kohli was exceptional. In fact, if you were to look at the first game and this game, you'd find that there were 2 different captains altogether.
Yeah,
and the 7th
exactly
over,
what we were talking about him not doing, not being flexible. He was very flexible today, and he did
good
a good job
example,
of it.
Joy, being the 7th over, when normally you'd know that Kuldeep Yadav started warming up, or maybe even any of the other spinners, but he waited. He said, no, it's doing a little bit, 1 more over. And Bumrah, who had just bowled 1, was tossed the ball, picked up a wicket there, changed the complexion of the game. We felt maybe Khalil gets 1 more over there, but then he decided to go to Kuldeep, and that was not a bad thing either at that point of time.
See, again, he kept 1 off Khalil as well. So it's just about, see, you can always, every decision will have 2 sides. And in hindsight, you can always comment, this was right, that was wrong. But then I won't really fault him for bowling Kuldeep at that stage in the 8th over and not going to Khalil and finishing his overs off. Though I was of the opinion that let's bowl Khalil because that's the right thing to do. But there's no right or wrong as such. But in all, if you were to look at the larger picture, I thought Virat Kohli did exceptionally well. And also just a word on the Australian batters. 3 batsmen got out, caught in at deep point. You're playing at the MCG. You don't really clear that boundary that easily. So what were they thinking? Every time a fielder was stationed there, first was Lynn, then it was Toynes, and one more guy, Coulter-Nile in the end. So if you're going to try and doing that, good luck to you. This is a huge outfield.
Yeah, it's not the CCI. Let's put it. It's not the CCI.
Now, crucial 29 runs that they got in the 18th and 19th overs, that could still make a bit of a difference at the end, because in those first 17, they really were not in the game. They'd only got to double figures once in that entire time.
See, the other thing is that, what he was talking about Khalil, the issue is that you can't actually bowl, you can try Kuldeep, but really Kunal, you can't bowl after the 15th. It's not possible. The moment you have, even in a situation where they don't have wickets, too many wickets, they're going to whack him. Because at that stage of the game, they're going to have to go after him. So the truth of it is that they did a fairly decent job of, as I said, marshalling those resources. And I think now with this pitch, with this kind of conditions, I think India's almost there. They've closed the sort of, got their hands on the win, but now they've just got to convert.
But I'm not to be too harsh. Having got them on the mat at that stage with the likes of Ty and a relatively inexperienced McDermott in there, would India be feeling maybe 15 runs too many we've given them?
No. See, you can always be greedy. You can always look back at a total and say, no, we gave 15 too many, a drop catch there. In fact, India started with dropping catches. So one was dropped by Rishabh Pant, then Bumrah in the deep. So you thought that, oh my God, it may just all go pear-shaped very quickly. India did bounce back, and you got to also give credit to the opposition. They do know how to bat. These are their conditions, and if they had to just put their mind to matter, 150 was written on the board. Despite doing all that, what India did and taking all those wickets early on, all you needed to do was to just bat sensibly. Boundaries will eventually come, is what we've been told as batters. Somehow it felt that the game plan was completely haywire with regards to the Aussies. They were trying to play it as a 15-over game, which it was not. It may actually end up being a 15-over game for all we know now. But then when they were batting, it was a 120 ball game, and 150 was there for the taking. So no, I don't think India will look back in any amount of regret. 132, they'll take it. At
least, I remember one very senior IPL coach used to work with KKR telling me, he says, you're going to give 120 run over. Question is, when are you going to give it? At some point in time, somebody is going to go. You know, just because it'll get together, one or two will get hit, you'll get one lucky miss it, and then, you know, one over will go all peership. How you recover after that is the question.
In fact, there was, I think it was a couple of World T20s ago, where the entire tournament tagline, the hashtag, was hashtag one big over. And I thought that was the most appropriate one for any T20 game, because it could be either way. It could be an over, you get 3 wickets, or it could be that 25-run over that we're talking about. But it does make a difference in this shorter format.
It's 5% of your innings. So 5% of your innings can actually have a huge amount of bearing on the outcome. Or 3 wickets, as we saw in the IPL quite often, Umesh Yadav 1 over still comes to your mind, and it comes to your mind because he took 3 wickets against Kings 11 Punjab, including the wicket of Finch and Yuvraj Singh. So that somehow just completely changes the complexion of the game. And similarly, there will be a 20-run over once in a while that will once again shift the momentum towards the opposition. And the other thing about T20 cricket and why 1 over is important. First is 5%, that's a high percentage. It's only 2% in an ODI game. And secondly, there is no time to then shift the momentum towards your own
That's
team.
a big point.
There is no time. It just rushes away. So if it happens any time after the 10th over, you're done. There is no time to actually steal it back. The team that has the momentum, just run away with it.
But off the field, we were talking about the catches that we were taken, and one good catch was taken by a man in a beanie. And let me ask my fellow Bengali, I know it's kind of chilly in Melbourne, but DK with a beanie.
No, I just seeing monkey.
Or is it that time he spent in Kolkata and not his Chennai?
It has to be. No, actually, Chennai also is, when they say it's cold, it's about 27 degrees or something. But yeah, but what Kolkata, this thing, wearing a monkey cap, call it by its proper name. It's a monkey cap. This beanie rubbish, don't give us. It is the monkey cap. It is the Bengali monkey cap, and it was, you know, we need to see that, you know. It makes a Bengali feel like a home away from home to see it.
Even if it's a guy from Chennai wearing it in Melbourne.
Yes, but it was chilly. And just to wrap up, finally, I mean, these conditions now, let's look at it from the Australian point of view. India may feel whatever they feel about those runs. Australia will be in that change room saying, it's still chilly, it's still overcast, a little bit of spice on the pitch. We've got the big guys, we've got Nathan Coulter-Nile, we've got Perendorf, we're going to come hard at them, and certainly it's going to be a good contest. 132 may feel like 152.
I think this chatter in the dressing room should be headed by Nathan Coulter-Nile. I remember one game at the Eden Gardens, Kolkata, KKR versus the RCB. RCB had the big guns, including Virat Kohli and AB de Villiers, and they were shot down for what, 90 odd or 50 odd? 49. 49 when they were chasing, I think, 100 and something. A very smallish total. Nathan Coulter-Nile was a part of that KKR unit and inflicted some serious damage up front. So that's what you need to think as a team, that take wickets in plenty, and with this Indian team, you know, take the top 3. If you take the top 3, then you have that, you can actually throw the cat amongst the pigeons.
And of
you
course,
do realize you're making a producer very, very happy.
No, there's nobody biased in this business, is there?
Not at all.
Not really. We're all fair, all fair.
Absolutely.
But yeah, Nathan Coulter-Nile also setting the example with the runs that he scored, and
he looked as if he could hit the ball. I mean, really, the couple of sixes that he hit straight, fantastic.
So overall, do you reckon it's, if all things go well, Virat Kohli, if he's done so much in the field, not only is he due runs because of that, but due to bat at number 3 and get those runs?
Hopefully he'll have to do or rather play a smaller role in this run chase. But then it's 70-30 India side, since we just all love talking percentages.
Yes, the other day he gave 65-35 to Australia and stuck by his guns. So he's 70-30 for India. Are you giving us percentages?
I'll go 75-25. I mean, I believe in these conditions, and if he chooses, if he's really batting at number 3 and it's not the hope of our statisticians sitting there, I think, yeah, he wants to make a statement also, I think, very clearly.
Fair enough. I'm not going to go against the expert panel, but just to be difficult, I'll reduce the percentages a bit. I'll give the Australian fast bowlers a bit to make it more 60-40 in India's favour. Certainly the runs suggest that, and the confidence with which India have come out to make it 1-1 and their past record. They don't mind being 1 down. They are the champions of making comebacks. That's all we have from Crickbuzz Live, but remember, we'll be back at the halfway stage of the Indian run chase, whatever it might be. It may be 19 overs, it may be 15, it may even be 10 overs at the halfway stage with Crickbuzz Combox, and then of course to wrap it up all at the end.